Hello and howdy there. A couple nights ago, I saw a film that I was very much excited to see. The new biopic of Hitchcock. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid watch. I'll give it a 7. You know, a good score. It was definitely a 7. Not too great, but definitely not, you know, amateur at all. Hitchcock is about really the making of Psycho, from beginning to end, from looking for an idea to the film's premiere, and the strain that it had on Alfred Hitchcock's longtime marriage to his wife, Alma. And that's pretty much what it is. It's about you know, small events. Not many great events happen, but yet the great events of a human life are, you know, tend to be very small. Stars Anthony Hopkins, and I just forgot her name, Helen Mirren. Dame Helen Mirren, John Huston. Who else is in there? Scarlett Johansson, Jessica Biel. Both looking, boy, Scarlett Johansson was looking amazing. It was like, really, when she was standing next to Jessica Biel, you can't even see Jessica Biel. That's personally. Who else was in there? Someone was in there. Anywho, it was directed, I can't tell you who it was written by. It was directed by Sasha Gervasi. A name that I thought was familiar. I don't think this is his first film or their first film, but I really can't tell you where I might know the name from. In fact, I honestly think that my brain is like mixing it together with Ricky Gervais and just thinking I know the name, but I'm not entirely certain. This kind of reminded me of kind of like a Hallmark original movie. I would definitely think that, you know, one term I like to use is Hallmark. It's just a little too perfect. I mean, it's still very good, it's still effective, but in a way mass-produced, you know, done without too much deep thought. You know, they try and get into some headspace here, some, you know, to what makes Alfred Hitchcock tick, but I don't think it really delves that deep. But it does at least try to, which I appreciate. And I think it also spends time in trying to, you know, delve into his wife's, you know, psychology as well. So it's just a character study of two people. It's really a relationship study that just happens to be one of the most famous, you know, men in Hollywood history. That's really what had me going. Alfred Hitchcock is an idol of mine. He was pretty much my introduction into the world of film. He was the first time I was aware of a person called a director. Around the age of 6 to 7, I became rather obsessed with Alfred Hitchcock. I got, you know, a biography of his. And it all started with The Birds. Well, actually it started with his television program, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. I always watched Alfred Hitchcock Presents, as it always terrified me. It was one of my very favorite shows when, again, I was around the age of 6 or 7. And from there I got into The Birds, and I think from The Birds I watched Psycho. I still haven't seen too many of Hitchcock's works. I've seen plenty, but not by any means all. But I became, you know, kind of obsessed with him. I wanted to know, you know, how did he do these things? How did he think of these things and get them made? And it was also around that time when I hadn't, you know, certainly decided that I was going to be an actor, or probably even knew I wanted to be an actor. That would come probably about 7 years later. But it's always stuck in my head about Hitchcock's philosophy with acting and making films and dealing with actors and producers and studios. And I've always kind of set myself up to be the kind of actor that Alfred Hitchcock would want, and that's basically a tool. You know, Alfred Hitchcock looked at actors as cattle. You know, they should be able to deliver exactly what he wants and when he wants it, because they're absolutely disposable. You know, they can be killed and ground up and eaten and replaced immediately. So you better be good, and you better be able to do anything at the drop of a hat. So that's always affected me, and again, I feel that if Hitchcock were alive today, that I could easily work for him. The film, it's not too flashily directed. It is kind of gorgeously shot. It's a kind of soft focus here and there, much like it takes a soft focus on the characters' lives. The performances, namely Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren, have a lot of scenes together. They are pretty much either in every scene, like, alternating. Like, if Hitchcock isn't in this scene, then it's his wife. And if it's not his wife, it's him, and then they're together. You know, so we follow them. Their performances, obviously, it's Anthony Hopkins and it's Helen Mirren. They're, you know, impossibly respected. So I think Helen Mirren just got a SAG nomination and a Golden Globe nomination for this performance. I think that's deserved. You know, she definitely did a great job. I think she may have even done a little bit more than Hopkins, but Hopkins had to portray, you know, someone we know. Someone, well, at least we think we know. An icon. So he definitely looks the part, sounds the part, but, you know, it doesn't go too deep. You know, we're left with that surface, and, you know, the fact that he has nightmares and has, you know, imagined conversations with a serial killer, it's just not enough. You know, I wanted more. They never really get to the root of why he has these vivid hallucinations of speaking with mass murderer Ed Gein. I mean, I guess it kind of gets to a point a little bit, but not as fully as I would like it to. The guy who plays Ed Gein, I don't know his name, but I haven't seen him in a long time, and it was good to see him. He's been in a lot of stuff. He was the bad guy in The Crow. You know, the Crow. He's the bad guy. So if you can picture him, I haven't seen him in a while, and he's in this. He was very good. He plays the imagined serial killer, mass murderer Ed Gein. And they hold conversations in Hitchcock's head. All of the acting is fine. Again, Scarlett Johansson is more beautiful than she's been in some time. Probably since one of those Woody Allen movies. She just looks absolutely stunning. She plays Janet Leigh. Oh, that's who I wanted to mention. Michael, and I'm now starting to remember his name after he's had this awesome year. Michael Stuhlbarg, something like that. I first noticed him, I mean, I've I know he's been around for a little bit, but he first stood out earlier this year in Men in Black 3, where he played, I guess, one of the main characters, an alien that, you know, for him, time doesn't really exist. He can exist at any time, at any space. You know, that character. I think Men in Black 3 is out on video now. So that character. And then he had a semi-prominent role in Lincoln, and now he definitely has a prominent role here. So he's had a great year, and he's very talented. So it's nice to, you know, see him work more. And he's good here. You know, I think, again, it was a little soft. It didn't offer too much insight. It did offer a lot of insight into filmmaking, getting a movie made, you know, the pre-production, the actual production, and the post-production. You know, there's definitely some glimpses of that, and you get to learn a little bit about that. You also get to learn about the mindset of an artist. Hold on just one second. Definitely just the psychology of an artist, how they can be extremely difficult. But the thing is you could pretty much make this exact film with any director. You know, it didn't necessarily have to be Hitchcock. It just happened to be. So you get to learn something about Hollywood and filmmaking and the psychology of an artist, but you don't get to know too much about Hitchcock, the man himself. Which, when your film is titled Hitchcock, you know, you kind of want something a little bit more. One film this reminded me a lot of, and I enjoyed Me and Orson Welles a lot more. I thought about that film a lot. You know, Orson Welles, it's about, again, a creative genius at the peak of his powers. But trying to get something made, you know. Except with Me and Orson Welles, it's a stage production. Here it's a film. But still, it reminded me a lot, similar themes. I just enjoyed Me and Orson Welles a lot more. If you haven't seen Me and Orson Welles, I highly recommend that film. I need to buy that movie. I don't know what else to say. It looked really good. You know, well written. There was some good, you know, great dialogue between husband and wife. There's some, you know, nice quotes in there, some snappy dialogue. Again, nothing too revelatory, nothing digs too deep. You just go and you have a fine time. You know, it's a nice, enjoyable picture. With great performances. Again, all the performances are great. Well directed. You know, it's not too flashy, but well directed. Well shot, well written. Just a little too broad. I'd like it to be more daring. I'd like it to take more chances. And again, give me more of that psychological insight into the man, Alfred Hitchcock. So I think that's all I have to say about that. So I'll give Hitchcock a solid 7. Thank you very much.